I was muted, sorry. Welcome to another episode of Get Educated. And this is a segment we do here at Allstar Tactical. We are a retail store and manufacturing. We sort of specialize in ARs and pride ourselves on providing education for as many people as we possibly can. So I'm again here with Jake, and Jake has done the two ARs segments with me. Today's segment's going to be on optics, everything from red dots to scopes and everything. So this isn't firearm specific. It's going to be very generic on the way of optics and everything. So once again, we start every one of these with our safety rules. So let's do that. Number 1, treat all firearms as if they're loaded. Number 2, never point the firearm at anything you're not willing to kill, destroy, or purchase. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger. Keep your finger somewhere other than the trigger until your sights are on target and you've made the decision to shoot. Number 4, be sure of what is in front of, behind, to the left, to the right of your target. So welcome everybody, and feel free to post your comments and questions. We have started putting these on our YouTube channel as well. So if you have other questions you can't think of, either ask us on the Facebook or go ahead and do it over on the YouTube as well. I'm going to move the microphone here so it's kind of not in the way, but it is. So you can hear Jake as well. All right, so optics. There's so many different options, from your reflex style to standard red dots to full-blown scopes with BDCs, and everything in between. So one thing to mention first, because as we talk about these, we're going to talk about the difference of why you might want why you would want to spend a little bit more money on an optic versus something else. So most importantly, we talk about a concept called accuracy and precision, and they're not the same thing. So I'm going to put up a little image here. We're going to talk about it a little bit. So pop it up right here. All right. So in the top left corner there, we have something that is both accurate and precise. All right. In the top right, we have it precise but not accurate. So precision is repeatability. All right. It's a variation observed when the same operator measures the same part. All right. We talk about precision manufacturing, repeatability. So precision is synonymous with repeatability. All right, so our bottom left is accurate, meaning it's the bullets are on the target that you're pointing at, but not precise, meaning there's a deviation that occurs here. All right, and then in our bottom right is neither accurate nor precise. So what's important about that is that a lot of it can be based on both the firearm platform as well as the quality of the optics. Typically when we talk about quality of optics, we're referring to precision, all right, repeatability, and that has to do with both the platform and the optic as far as repeatability goes. Anything can be accurate once, and it could be a flyer, so or an outlier, very in statistics talk. So I just wanted to get that out there, and we may revisit that here in a bit. So let's start with the absolute basic optic you're going to see, and that's going to be something like a red dot here. All right, you've got controls on the top of this one. That's the side you're going to look through. I don't even think battery's dead on this. So this has a quick mount, sort of an upgraded quick mount that allows you to take it and put it on and off. The mount actually has a lot to do with the repeatability. The ability to take this off and put it back on without having to re-zero the rifle or whatever you're using it on is important as well. A lot of that based on the optic. So with a red dot, what kind of reticle would you expect? Let's look. Just what you think. A single dot. All right, and when the red dots call out size, MOA, that is the size of this dot here. All right, and basically a minute of angle is 1 inch at 100 yards.
Yep.
So a 1 MOA dot is going to cover a 1 inch spot at 100 yards. Typically, what do you see? 2 MOA on single dots?
Most of your
2 or
red
4?
dots, you want to look for like a 2 MOA dot. Probably is 4 is what I'm comfortable with, but usually I try to go for a 2 MOA dot.
And so what is that going to affect? That'll affect your accuracy, as we talked about.
Yep.
So the precision, again, will be there, but your accuracy is going to depend on if you can put that dot in the exact same spot
Yep.
every time.
Kind of comparing red dots and like magnified optics, you're going to get greater precision out of a magnified optic because you're able to zoom in on your target. You're able to get a finer aiming point. Where a red dot, if you're zeroing at 50 yards, you're going to have that chart that Mike showed where it's accurate, but that's your zero, and it's not going to be very precise unless you're to throw like a magnifier behind it for whatever instance. But
Right. So when we talk non-magnified with a dot, a reflex, or a hollow, an EOTech style, we're talking shortish range engagements. I'd say 250 and in.
your red dots will cover to, like Mike said, 250 and in. Most of that's going to be even 50 yards and in.
Yeah. So I get we'll put at the end the zeroing how we like to zero. So all right. So that's your red dot there, and like this, or Jake's got one on his. That's an aim point. This is a primary arms. As you can see, they're very similar in design. That's a tube that bounces a dot, an LED dot, off a mirror and shows through the scope. Again, by going for something versus $299 versus $600, you gain things like 60,000 hours of battery life. You'll gain underwater capability. Some of them are designed to work with night vision. And quality, life overall. Although some of the models like Holo Sight have been really dragged through the mud and seem to hold up pretty well.
Yeah, the Holo Suns are what we found to be a very good budget-friendly optic. They run anywhere from $199 up to $300, and that gets you into the optics game. And they've been proven to be reliable, probably as reliable. Maybe the aim points are a little bit more like this one, but the Holo Suns have been very good, so you don't need to spend that like $600 on an aim point to get into the red dot game.
Certainly not on your first or entry level rifle. If you're building, something that you want to last and go from there, you spend a little bit more if you can.
Yep.
No reason not to. All right. So moving on, the next we'll talk about is the holographic sight. Holographic sight uses lasers to create the reticle. All right, and it does it by way of almost a floating hologram. Now, for me, I have astigmatism. I have trouble with holographic sights. You really have to look through the sight and focus on your target to get a clear holographic red dot. So I'm going to pop that up. That's typically what you'll find in like an EOTech. What they'll have is they'll say, what they'll call it 65/2.
Yep.
So you'll have a 65 MOA ring and a 2 MOA single dot. All right, and that a lot of that is like a fast acquisition sort of thing. I don't know if you can even maybe hold the rifle upside down and somebody can see through it. It'd be an interesting thing if we could try it.
So with the EOTechs, they're similar to your normal LED red dots. Let's see if I can do this and get it to show. Maybe
It's gonna be tough. You got to dip your rifle down.
And no, I'm not flagging myself.
More. There it is. Oh, there it is. There you go. So you can kind of see the same thing, but you see how it's fuzzy. It's gonna appear fuzzy on the camera, but it also appears fuzzy to you unless you really hold true to that look through the optic and focus on your target. When we talk about pistol red dots, that was a big thing for me to overcome, was actually look through it and focus separately like that.
The nice thing about the EOTech reticle there with what they call a donut of death, and then you got your fine 1 MOA dot as compared to a 2 MOA dot on a red dot, is with that 65 ring circle, or 65 MOA ring circle, sorry, all your close engagements are going to be on that bottom portion of the circle there. So that kind of, it has a similar, like a little BDC built into the reticle, which is nice.
Yep. And when we talk about trajectories and zeroing towards the end, I think that'll make a little more sense to you guys as well. All right. So next, we move to something that I'm sure everybody's heard of, whether it's through video games or knows what the military uses. We have the ACOG. All right. So the Trigicon was the one that made the ACOG Famous. All right, and you can see it on Jake's here. It's a larger tube, larger optic overall, and they're all fixed magnification. And are they all 4, or can you get them in?
They have them all the way down to 1.5, all the way up
Okay.
to 6 power. I've seen them.
All right, so it's still going to be a fixed. You're not going to get a 1X on an ACOG. Now, they typically use their own reticle, and I'll put that up here. They use a chevron, typically. Chevron, or I've seen a donut, like a lollipop style.
Yep, horseshoe.
I think the chevrons are kind of cool. But basically what, they can't see my mouse as I'm like trying to point it. Chevron at the top there, and then you've got markings as you go down, which is sort of like distance markings.
Yep.
And again, a lot of this applies and depends on what you're zeroing your rifle at. All this will change. Your ammunition, everything. There's so many factors. Yeah. But that gives you an idea of what the ACOG would be. You see a lot of the traditional was the 4X with an additional red dot on it as well.
So the military likes to have things standard across the board. If I'm incorrect about that, you can drop it in the comments. But every soldier and infantryman is using the exact same rifle, the exact same ammo, exact same barrel. And that's why the ACOG serve them well, because everybody's the same. They have the same reticle. So at the tip of that chevron, you zero at 100 yards. And then as you work down, 300 yards, 400 yards, 500 yards, 600 yards, you're going to start holding over on that reticle. It's a combat effective reticle. It is not a precision reticle like a DMR or an SPR, but the fixed 4-power ACOGs, they're tried and true. They've been there and done that, and they're very, very rugged. They're a little outdated now with all the newer optics on the market, but you still can't go wrong with one. And they are pricey, but they're nice.
They're almost $1,000 just for that alone.
You can find them used for like $850, but new you're going to be spending over probably $1,000.
Now, if you want to add a single dot to it, though, there are mounts that'll mount on top, or there's your angled mounts. Before we kind of move to, we didn't talk about Reflex, but we'll come back to that.
I got a few more points on this one.
The other thing I wanted to make a mention here, because we didn't mention it with the primary arms or any other dots. There's a thing called height over bore. All right, and if you've ever been to a training class, I always like to watch people who haven't been to a training class, and they go to the barricade for their first time, and they put their first bullet right through the barricade.
Yep.
So you basically have a 2 to 3 inches gap here, and what happens is that when you're zeroing, it's like it's like a triangle to a point. All right, so your bullet's kind of coming up and your sight's kind of coming down to meet at that point. So when you start putting a dot on top, you almost have a good 3 to 4 inch height over bore, which means as a target comes even that much closer to you, where you're aiming, that bullet's going to go 3 to 4 inches low.
So with the ACOGs, a lot of guys, since it is a fixed 4-power, it struggles in close distances. You're still supposed to shoot at both eyes open, so it's supposed to, the bend-in aiming concept, if you want to look it up, that's what they use. But you can mount a RMR, a little miniaturized red dot on top, or you can also go to an offset dot like this. So anything close, you're using this red dot like we already covered, and then anything out far, you're using the 4-power of the ACOG.
Right. So a lot of the additionals are these micro red dots here, which we're going to show when we talk about handgun mounts as well.
Yep. The nice thing about the ACOGs, they do make battery-powered ones. They also make non-battery-powered ones. So on the red dots, you're going to get anywhere from 3 to 5 years on a hollow sun, 5 years on an aim point. The dual illuminated ACOGs, they don't use any batteries at all, so they're good for life. They use fiber optic in the day, so this one's going to be a red reticle. This is the fiber optic that gathers light. And then for low light applications, they use tritium, which has a half-life of about 12 years. So that will glow.
So not for life.
Yeah.
It'll cut its brightness in half after 12 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you still have that etched reticle that's etched in the glass. You're just not going to have
you won't get
the illumination after that. And Trigicon will replace the tritium for, I think it's like $500 to replace it.
Tritium's expensive. Yeah. All right, before we go to like an LPVO or actual scopes here, this is another style of what we would call a 1X non-magnified optic called the Reflex. I don't have a picture of the reticle on this, but this may actually be pretty easy to show. There it is. Nope, everything's backwards. Okay, so other way, right? Nope. This is like trying to take a picture of yourself in the mirror. Okay, that way. Okay, there we go. All right, this is a bright orange triangle. Actually, it looks like a dot in there because it's out of focus. But this is actually considered out as a 12 MOA triangle. It's a big triangle. This is a Meprolite. I believe they're Israeli made.
Yeah, it's old school.
Very old school. I've had this for, probably almost 8 years now. Very reliable. This is similar in the Trigicon, is that it uses ambient light to generate the triangle, and I believe tritium as well. This might be one of the ones that dim, that use the ambient light to change the dimming. I can't remember on this one. This one's really old, but they're good. This again has a quick mount. We run this on our machine guns, and it's held up really, really well. Runs about $600 as a typical reflex, decent reflex.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You don't see reflexes in the lower end optics market.
Yeah.
You see a lot of just standard dots. Unless it must be more complicated to make this style.
Right. But also with going back to the battery powered red dots, and you're getting years of battery life. One thing with the reflex sights, how they use fiber optics and tritium, is let's say that you are in a dark environment or a dark room per se, and let's say you're under like an overhang at a shooting range. You're in a dimmer lit area and you're shooting out into a brighter environment. Sometimes those reticles can get washed out and they can be difficult to see, which is why some reflexes and non-battery powered red dots have kind of gone by the wayside a little bit with the newer battery powered ones.
Right, especially as battery life has come such a long way.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on from there. Actually, before we go to scope, should we talk about handgun dots, since they're single dots? So the big thing right now is also to add a dot to a pistol. Now, this is a Glock 19 with a Grey Ghost precision slide. And on this, I'm going to pull the slide so I don't flag myself. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Again, this is a Trigicon RMR. There it is. This also has a 12 MOA triangle, a green triangle. This is a non-battery. Again, it's dual illuminated using both fiber optics and tritium to generate that. 12 MOA is big for a handgun.
Yep.
But I'm testing it out because a lot of handgun shooting is point shooting, or in a full defensive situation. Having a big dot isn't necessarily a bad thing. But again, I also, in case something goes wrong, not a bad time to talk about it, is I have suppressor height sights in order, if something were to happen to this dot, I still have sights to use. Same thing with any of these. Anytime you're using a battery powered optic, you're going to want some kind of backup iron sights, buoys, BUIS, so backup iron sights. Anything from flip up mag pulls, mission first, arms makes really good ones.
Knights
That's
Armament.
old school. Knights. Arms was the military contract for like ever.
Yep.
Those are good sites. They're hard. Getting harder to find, I think. So that's it as far as low magnification and dots. So by moving from there, we would move into something like a BDC scope. All right, so a BDC scope is going to be similar to this primary arms ones here. This is the one that I actually have on my AR-10. This scope does 1x all the way up to 6. Typical what's called LPVO, low power variable optic. But specific about this one, you have something like an ACSS reticle. All right, so you have a BDC reticle. So you have a bright illuminated chevron and horseshoe, which would be your 0 point, and then each of the points below are going to give you your holdover based on a certain distance engagement. All right, and you would have to be a known distance. That's the one downside about BDCs, it has to be a known distance.
So with the LPVOs, it's kind of a blend of your fixed magnification scope like let's say an ACOG, for example, and a red dot. There are jack of all trades, master of none. They are on 1X. They're supposed to be like a red dot, but then in let's say a 3-gun match, or if you're hunting or whatever, and you want to zoom in, then you can zoom all the way to 6X or 8X or even 10X now. There's a bunch of different magnification ranges.
You can see the reticle there
that are out on the market. This one being a primary arms, we found that as a budget-friendly option that people want to get into an LPVO, this is the route to go. And then if you want to get a nicer one, then you can certainly do so. But the primary arms, LPVOs have been really good, and they run from the $300 to $400 range all the way up to $1,400. And then we also have a Night Force here that's worth $2,800.
Right.
So,
you know, your high end ones would be like your Night Force, your Steiner.
Yep. Trigicon
makes good ones.
Razors.
The new EOTechs are good.
The Voodoos.
The Voodoos. Schmidt and Bender, if you want to go really high end.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. Do they do an LPVO or just that they do?
Yep.
I haven't even.
That one
I can't afford it, so.
That one you can do first and second focal plane on.
Switchable?
Yep.
Okay, that's crazy. Good for them. I don't know if you're of this opinion, but with an LPVO, especially with like a switch lever, I see them as either all the way open or all the way closed.
Yep.
It is a, and what's the one that was truly switchable? The Elcan, right?
The Elcan is it's either a
1 or a 4, right?
They make different models. They have a 1 or a 4 or a 1 or a 6. It's basically a lever on the side, and you just flip it. So you either have 1 or you have 6.
I always wanted to get my hands on one of those, but they're like $2,800, aren't they?
I think they're around like $1,400-1,500.
That's not too bad. Maybe we'll bring one in to show off.
So going into...
So we'll switch over to the other reticle.
Going into price a little bit on the LPVOs, some are going to be first focal plane, some are going to be second focal plane. And second focal plane is where the reticle stays the same size. So the one on the screen, if that was second focal plane, it would stay the same size all the time, no matter what magnification you're on. First focal plane, you're going to pay a little bit more. The reticle is going to grow in size, and it's going to be true. All those subtensions on that reticle are going to be true at whatever magnification range that you're on.
Yep.
With the second focal plane, those subtensions that are built into the reticle, depending on what manufacturer you go with, those are
usually
only going to be true
at
the full magnification power. So with going from primary arms all the way to Night Force, this is the Night Force ATACR 1-8. It is a one.
Your cap's upside down.
Yeah, that's the illumination.
I know.
Spin it there. But anyways, it goes from 1 power, kind of like a red dot, and then it will go all the way to 8 power. And what you guys see on the screen is what this reticle looks like at 8 power. On 1 power, it looks like a normal red dot with the illumination. And certain things that we look for, the primary arms have been very good. The Razor, Vortex Razor, the EOTech Voodoo is okay with the illumination, but you want a daylight bright dot, because these are supposed to act like a red dot on 1X.
Yep.
So the illumination is very important on these LPVOs.
And being able to control it, granular, is
so
good
on,
as well.
On this one, this is your illumination, and then it also has capped turrets on the other side.
Are those tactical turrets on that one? Oh, they're capped.
They're capped.
So they're not the pull style.
Nope. So once you take the cap off,
Yep.
then you can make your adjustments there.
And now, like, just to be clear, like, the reason that doesn't have tactical turrets is because this isn't really designed for you to be engaging and re-zeroing and really, really far targets.
Right.
It is designed as both a red dot and a mid-range.
Yep. And also with how the reticle is built, as you guys see there, all of your holds are right below the center dot, so you don't need to really dial elevation. You can just hold depending on what your dope is for your engagement and how far it is.
All right. So, with that said, let's talk a little bit about zeroing. If you look at the Allstar Tactical website and go under Media and Literature, we provide a target for there. I'm not sure if I don't think I can add a PDF. Let me see if I can grab it. If I can grab it here, I will stick it right on the screen. because it's sort of a target that I came up with over, years of drawing targets. All right, let me just save this image. Let's see if I can quickly bring it into here without going too crazy. It's probably going to be huge when I do it. It'll cover all of us. Yep. Covers Jake. So let's drag that right into the middle here. All right, so this is a target that I drew up. And so when we talk about zeroing, I'll lean this way. When we talk about zeroing, when you have a trajectory, your bullet's essentially a big arc. Okay? So you have what we call point of aim and point of impact. All right, your point of aim is where you're holding your dot, and the point of impact is where the bullet's going to go. All right, so this target allows you to create a 50-yard zero or 50-meter zero, but do it at 25 yards, because we don't always have 50 yards to truly zero a rifle in. Now, why do I like the 50-yard zero? So that with that trajectory line for 5.56, you have point of aim, point of impact, so meaning the same thing. Where you put it is where the bullet goes at 50 yards, and also at 200. All right, so basically the bullet's coming up, hits that point of aim, point of impact, goes about 2 inches high, and comes back down and hits point of aim, point of impact again. So this target allows you to aim right in the center dot, and you want your bullets to go into that lower circle there. That would get you pretty much spot on for a 5200 zero. Now, with that said, there's plenty of other zeros out there that work for it. The 50 to 200, I think, is a great home defense one, because from 50 and in, if you're aiming here, combat effective, you have an 8-inch window really to work with, so that's going to be effective from like 15 yards all the way up to 200 plus.
Yeah,
it drops pretty fast after that, though.
Most people, if you're just getting started and zeroing, just zero at 50. If you're shooting a 5.56 rifle, just zero at 50, and you're going to hit at 200. There's another one that's geared more towards close distances. It's called a 36-yard zero, if you want to look that up. Basically, you zero your 5.56 gun at 36 yards, and wherever let's say you're using a red dot, put your red dot where you want to hit on a target, and that is going to hold true all the way out to around 250 to 300 yards. After that, it starts dropping like a rock, just because of how that point of aim and the bullet is flying. But the 36-yard zero, you don't have to hold over or hold under like a 50 to 200. So that's what I usually do on my red dots.
This doesn't really apply to much of the other calibers. We have pretty good ballistic experience with 5.56, 223. As you get into things like 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 308 has a crazy arc. 6.5 is super flat shooting.
Yep.
We're probably going to work on doing a entire segment on precision rifles, from bolt guns to gas guns, and really the ones that really reach out there. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more specifically about ammo, because that plays such a big factor as you start trying to push out there.
Yep. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer like a mil reticle, like on that Night Force one.
I didn't even talk about that. Mil dot versus MOA.
So if you want to bring up the ACSS reticle really quick,
yep,
we'll touch on that. So in the primary arms scopes, they're licensed to use the ACSS reticle. What the ACSS reticle is a BDC. It's a bullet drop compensating reticle. These are why I don't prefer them completely, but they are very good. They get you that accurate hits, combat effective hits, but they are not precise. They are set. The reticles are set for a multitude of calibers on a certain barrel length with a certain ammo, and that can vary. If you're shooting a 10.5-inch gun, your impacts are going to be different than on a 16-inch gun with this set optic.
Yep.
Where if you pull up the Night Force reticle, and this is all different depending on manufacturer and model, but this is basically a standard mil, kind of a Christmas tree reticle, where you zero your gun on the center dot, and then as you shoot out farther and farther, then you log what they call dope data on previous engagements. You log that into your book, and now you have a reticle that's set specifically for your gun, for your ammo. And that's why I like them better, because they're more precise.
We'll touch a lot more on mil dot reticles versus MOA when we get to the precision precision rifles, because with mil dot you have the ability to range. If your dope is set and your target is set at max magnification, I could tell you that using my dots that is 2 feet tall. Yep. That's what a lot of that is used for when it comes to mil dot. Typically, you see a lot of precision shooters using mil dot. I was shocked to see that our local SWAT team chose MOA when we set them up with their scopes, yep. But some people get trained differently. It'll all work, and I think that's good. So, anything else? I think that wraps up basic. AR-based optics, and most all of this will work on your 1022s, your 1522s. I mean, we didn't really talk about 3 to 9 scopes on like general hunting guns, but this will work on any of your Kel-Tecs, anything that's standard. Yeah. The dot's going to work on it. You really could put a dot on anything.
Yeah, if you are if you're undecided on what you want to go with, whether you want to go with a red dot or if you want to go with an LPVO, kind of your optic dictates what's your gun going to be used for.
Yep.
If you're going to be shooting out farther and you want to be able to see farther, maybe you have bad eyes and you're hunting or whatever, maybe an LPVO is going to be better for you than a red dot. Or if you only have a home defense gun and you have a white light, probably a red dot's going to be going to suffice. But
yeah, anything in home engagement, any of the small reflex like you saw on the handgun or Jake's secondary, or the primary arms, or even the reflexes are going to be great for any home defense situation. AR pistol, same thing. You're going to want to put something like that on it if you're keeping it loaded in a vehicle or something like that.
And if it's going to be something that you use for home defense or whatever, where you depend on saving your life or your family's lives or your loved ones, definitely don't want to cheap out on an optic. Get what you can afford, but definitely don't cheap out, because that's how you aim the gun. That's where your bullets are going, and you're liable for each round that you fire. So definitely don't cheap out on
typically
optics. Get what you can afford.
When we're doing custom builds for people, more so on the precision rifle side, we tell people budget for your optic first, okay? Because a great rifle can be hindered by a crappy optic.
Yep.
But a great optic could actually take a decent or not great rifle and be very precise.
Yep.
So, all right, cool. Well, that kills it for today. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to give the shop a call, email us, stalk us on the social media. Make sure you're following our pages. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Just look for Allstar Tactical. We're pretty much everywhere. We're going to continue to put these up. Probably mid-late next week we'll do another one. And we'll see you guys all next time.
See you.